Greetings, YouTube. Out of all the videos I make every year, it's the most important one to help summoners learn from my mistakes when they start an account. Or maybe they're just trying to grow an account and they've been doing it a while. Speaking of important, the only sponsor I've ever said yes to is Into the AM Clothing because they are the best. They just sent me one of their new shirts. I gotta show this off. Check this out. It looks like a Zelda castle, right? And my subscribers get 10% off just by using an offer code Prof Hoff in checkout. Check out the pinned comments, and I'm working with them to do crazy fun Cyber Weekend sales for the channel as well next month because they're gonna have a crazy fun Cyber Weekend sale. So yeah, they also have hats. Check this out. Speaking of hats, boom, snapback collectibles. I'm gonna be sporting that on campus. All right, so now that we've covered that sponsorship. And I seriously, I could lose my YouTube channel tomorrow and still rock these clothing for the rest of my life. Let's talk about some of the ways that people get burnt out too fast or they make too many mistakes when starting the game. I empathize with people who download the Marvel Casino of Champions now and feel like there's just so much to learn that they don't know where to start, and so they quit. When I started, I knew nothing about this game. I saw it advertised on Swagbucks and thought, looks like Marvel meets Mortal Kombat. That's kind of cool. And I hadn't played a game since GameCube. And yet, I fell in love, so to speak, with it. And here we are about 5 years later. 5 years. Unbelievable. First thing that Kabam is going to want you to do is blow money on the new offers. Now, there is something, part of the reason why I'm making this video now, that I think is the smartest investment for people to start out with. Because anybody over level like 5 gets the Grandmaster Daily Special, which gives level 5 summoners once per day a Grandmaster Crystal, which even if you get a 3-star most of the time, that's still going to be a $5 for a 3-star with a good chance of a 4-star and a rare chance at a 5-star. Tier 2 Alpha Kalos fragments you'll want to save eventually. Same with Tier 4 Basic, same with Tier 4 Cosmic, and even a couple of 5-star shards. The daily special is the best way to grow a new account, and trust me, for me to say spend cash on this game when you're starting out, it would take a really, really good offer, and yet that is exactly what that is for. So, the daily special, huge when you're starting out. You know what's not huge starting out is blowing your units on the opposite of the Grandmaster Daily Special, and that unfortunately would be what Kabam wants you to do, and that's to blow your units on premium disappointment crystals. I cannot tell you how many people have told me that they start out buying premiums because they just like opening crystals. It is a Marvel Casino of Champions addiction for sure, but it is a total waste of your units. You're going to get a bunch of 2-stars. And again, if you spend $5 a day or even $5 a week on the class of your choice, you're going to guarantee yourself at worst a 3-star. And 3-stars are pretty hard to get in premiums as well. So save your units for something way more important. What is it that you should save your units on? Well, here's the deal. It's all about the mastery cores. Now, I made so many mistakes when I started out in the game. A crazy amount of stupid mistakes. Because all I knew was that I like to hit people in the game. And so I'm like, attack? I'll max that out. I want to increase all my attack. Sure. Greater strength, even better. So I just had all my points in those 2 masteries. Looking back on it, I could not have been dumber. The overall rating of my champions suffered. My ability to win fights suffered. I'm surprised I won any fights those first couple years with the worst mastery setup of all time. But once I started learning, listening to my alliance members, and realizing I was a straight up idiot, I got to start crafting my masteries, which are not cheap at all. If you want a mastery setup like mine, it's going to cost you over 10,000 units. Easy. Probably way more than that. So for starters, you want to put a point into parry, and a point into limber, and a point into dexterity. Those 3, I would say, are the first 3 masteries you can put points into. That's going to make your life so much easier if you learn to deck specials, which the first time I'll never forget, I saw somebody who used inferior Iron Man, and actually, excuse me, they were fighting inferior Iron Man, who used to be a defender in the game, if you can believe that, when I first started playing. And they dexed his special, and I thought it was the most amazing Jedi mind trick thing of all time. Like, I kept rewinding the video, like, you can do that? I just always blocked it, or got hit by it. I didn't know you could evade through it. What is that? Now, of course, I do. Similarly, defense is very important, but I would save the majority of your points for offense, specifically so you can get to cruelty. And I still think not maxing out precision is fine for me. It's diminishing returns. Speaking of which, these are the super expensive and fancy masteries of Assassin, Deep Wounds, and Despair. I would eventually expand there. Glass Cannon is one of the most important masteries, though, if you're going to spin cores. If you don't care about suicides, I get it. But Glass Cannon, though it's technically in the suicide mastery tree, doesn't take any recoil damage. Your overall PI, your prestige, your champion is going to go up big time. And yet, the amazing thing is, when you get used to not getting hit, you won't notice the maximum health disappearing by 7.2%, but you sure as heck will notice the 7.2% boost in attack. So, that is always encouraging. I also have to say this. Speaking of listening to your alliance, there is a direct correlation, even when the game is working and nothing is broken, between burnout in the game and being in a terrible alliance. I always say it's like being in an unhealthy relationship. You spend more time in this game than you do in your relationship if you have one, a lot of times. You spend more time talking to people online or Discord that you maybe will never meet in real life. So, part of the problem is you start an alliance and you stay with that alliance and you view those people as friends, and then you realize you get to a point where you're wanting to progress a lot faster and be challenged more than your alliance is giving you. But you don't want to hurt your friends. So sometimes I know people who get burnt out because they should have left their alliance months, maybe even years ago, but they stayed because they didn't want to hurt their friends' feelings. Whereas if they were just honest with them, didn't ghost them, didn't just randomly tell them they were leaving, giving them some notice, but sometimes it's the best thing that can happen. And I am still good friends with a lot of people that I've been in alliances with. And I owe so much of my skill and knowledge and work ethic for the game to the alliances that I've been in. So when you're starting out, don't be afraid to alliance hop, but do it with respect and professionalism and not like a bratty teenager that whines, complains, and then ghosts people. Because I've seen that happen a lot. How many of you watching this have recruited somebody that's come in that on paper is amazing? They don't communicate, they don't move in war or alliance quest, and then when they want to leave, they just straight up ghost everybody. It's awful. It's truly, truly awful. I've seen it in almost every alliance I've ever been in. Speaking of when you get stuck on content, I would concentrate first on book 1, obviously, not to be confused with book 2. And it is better to complete, I get this question a lot, complete Act 5 than explore Act 4. Your first goal when starting an account should be to become Uncollected. And the Collector is appropriately named the Collector because he will collect your potions and your revives and your units. And so you want to be in a position where when you fight the Collector, you can 100% afford to take a hit. So when you become an Uncollected, and I've seen people do it with rank 4 4-stars, I would bring a minimum of 1,000 units worth of revives. Speaking of which, it is never too early to hoard things in this game, particularly 4-hour crystals. Don't immediately open them like it's so tempting to. You get a free crystal every 4 hours, eventually, depending on your progression is now. You have Thronebreakers. And I've saved up 519 of these. When I really, really need revives to clear content, that's when I open them. But just try your best not to open them immediately when you get them. Similarly, try your best to complete 22-hour and 7-hour solo events. I have just done event quest completion because I also save the toughest event quest completion runs, in this case Cavalier difficulty, for when I clear content in Cavalier, because that gives me the most points. Here, you'll get so many solo crystal shards that one of the secrets to growing your account truly is greater solo and especially supreme solo crystals, of which I now need to open another 100 of. I'm behind. I could go on another 20 minutes with a bunch of tips, but we're already at over 10 minutes, which is about when I like to cut off my longest videos. So the bottom line is this. When you're starting out an account, if you're going to spend money, do it on the daily special. You'll be so thankful you did. It's a great $5. Maybe the only other thing I can think of is the $5 unit special as well. Don't blow your units on crystals. Put them into mastery cores. Speaking of mastery, whenever you are lost, consult your alliance. And if you're in an alliance that's not meeting your goals, professionally, adequately leave. Do your best to become uncollected as quickly as possible. When you get stuck, my final tip is to go to the daily quests and grind out both basic and class catalysts. I used to do that and make sure my inventory stash was full, because there's nothing worse than finally getting the Marvel Casino of Champions luck and you have this amazing 4-star champion or 3-star champion or 5-star champion, but you don't have the resources to rank them up. And if you want to grind resources, the best arena to do it, especially once you become uncollected, is the Summoner Trials Arena. 100%. All right, we are now at 12 minutes. This is much longer than usual, but I think it is worth the length. Shout out to Into the AM again for sponsoring this video and working with me on some extra exciting Cyber Weekend specials, which I'll talk about in my Cyber Weekend preview videos at the end of November. Until then, have a good one, YouTube. And as always, the comment section is for lessons you've learned, sometimes the hard way, that you can help out growing summoners to make MCOC a lot easier. Please comment them below. Future summoners certainly will appreciate it.